Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Simply Food by TY. Okay, so look, today, you guys, we are going to be going into the kitchen once again, and we are going to be making my cast iron buttermilk cornbread. Now, the thing about cornbread is, it really is not a complicated thing to make, but I will say the advantage of having a cast iron skillet is major. It gives a beautiful brown, crisp layer, while the rest of it is able to stay really nice and moist and juicy. I know you love that word, honey, moist. Okay, let me stop. But anywho, the reason why I'm doing this intro is because I wanted to let you guys know next week when I do the recipe video on how to make dressing, you're going to be using this exact same recipe to make the cornbread. The only difference is for that video, you will be using half of the amount of sugar. So for the standard regular cornbread that you're going to serve as a side dish, you'll use 1 full cup. And for your dressing, you'll use a half a cup. But I'll remind you about that in the other video, but I just wanted to let you guys know so that you will have a reference on how to make the cornbread, because I'll probably already have that made and ready to go. But yeah, so let's go on into the kitchen, honey, and let's get this cornbread ready to go because your baby is hungry, okay?
Do I have your attention? 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 Do I have your attention?
Is you taking notes?
Okay, you guys, so let's go over the ingredients here. So we have 1.5 cups of yellow cornmeal, a half a cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of buttermilk. We have 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, 2 large eggs, 2 tablespoons of honey, and of course, 4 tablespoons of butter. So when making cast iron buttermilk cornbread, you want your cast iron skillet to already be hot when you pour the batter in. So go on ahead and melt your 4 tablespoons of butter in your cast iron skillet and then just leave it on low while we get everything mixed up and have your oven already preheated at 350 degrees. So now let's focus on the dry ingredients. So what we're going to do now in a separate bowl is add in 1.5 cups of the yellow cornmeal. We're adding in our 1 cup of sugar. We're also going to add in our half a cup of our all-purpose flour. Next up, we're going to add in our 1 teaspoon of our salt. And then, of course, we'll also add in the 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, I like to add my dry ingredients in a separate bowl from the wet because this will give you a chance to try to incorporate all of these ingredients that you see on your screen together now prior to pouring in the liquid. And I say this because once we add in the egg and the buttermilk, you do not want to overmix or you will have a dry and dense cornbread. It ain't nobody got time for that. Your family members will talk about you, and if I get to taste it, I'm gonna have to talk about you too, honey. So now we can set our dry ingredients to the side, and now let's focus on our wet ingredients. So what we have right here is our 1 cup of buttermilk. A little key for this recipe is make sure that your buttermilk is at room temperature. So then the next thing we're gonna go on ahead and add is our 1/3 of a cup of our vegetable oil, and then we're gonna move on to adding in our 2 tablespoons of our honey. Now, you guys, when you're using honey, especially in recipes like this, make sure that you are using real pure honey, not that fake stuff that they call honey. Make sure that you guys are using a really nice high quality honey. I promise you it will make the biggest difference. Then we're going to go on ahead and start cracking in our eggs. I use 2 in this recipe. If you guys need to double it, by all means, feel free to do so, but I only add 2 in mine. And as you can see, all of this is fitting right in this 2-cup measuring cup, so we're not having to deal with a bunch of extra dishes and extra bowls. So now just give it a fierce whisk, honey, a fierce whisk. And see, this is why I said it's important to do the wet separately from the dry, because now you're able to properly whisk this up the way you would like to, and you're not running the risk of over mixing the actual cornbread itself. Because I'm telling you, if you overmix your cornbread, it will turn out hard as a brick, and your family is gonna talk about you. Okay guys, so now what we're going to do is add our wet mix to our dry ingredients. So I know you guys have heard me say it over and over and over again, but I promise you it bears repeating. This is the most important step when making cornbread of any kind, and that is to not over mix. So all we're trying to do right now is just to simply make sure that our flour mixture and cornbread mixture is mixed in with the wet ingredients thoroughly. In a few moments, we're going to be adding in all of that luscious butter that has been sitting in that cast iron skillet. So you'll have a few more times to mix it around, But all you're doing right now is just trying to make sure that you're getting all that flour off the side of the bowl and just making sure that it's completely mixed in. After that, just kind of put the spoon down and walk away. If you overmix it, it's going to be really dense. I promise you, you're not going to like it. But now we're going to go on ahead and add in that lovely brown butter. My God, now you know this don't make no damn sense. I mean, honestly, just look at it. Don't it kind of look like cheese grits a little bit? Okay, I gotta focus. So now we're going to continue mixing our batter just a few more times just to get that butter nicely mixed through. You don't have to do it too many times, just enough to make sure that it is nicely mixed. Then you're just going to take that mixture and you're going to pour it into this sizzling hot skillet. We're going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And at the 30-minute mark, we're going to take it out of the oven, take a toothpick, and just check to see if it is slightly wet. That is completely fine. Take it out of the oven and just let it finish cooking on its own. Especially if you're cooking in a cast iron skillet, it's going to retain heat, and that extra 5 minutes just sitting on the counter covered with a towel will completely cook it. And my God, on today, look at that right there. You know what? You guys, you've just made yourself some homemade buttermilk cornbread. Now you can either take a stick of butter like I'm doing and slightly rub it over the top while it's still hot, or you can also take about 1/4 of a cup or about 4 tablespoons of butter and melt it and just pour it over the top. Now I'm gonna tell you a little secret. Now my grandmother, what she used to do was she used to take the butter, melt the butter, and put honey in it and just pour it all over top of the cast iron skillet. Now I may or may not have done that off camera. I can't tell y'all, but don't tell nobody I told you, because people might kind of try to come and find me, honey. But you go, this is it, you guys. I'm so happy that you guys have tried out this recipe. I believe in you guys. I know you guys can make it. And I'm about to get out of here because it's time for me to slice this up. I done made me a pot roast and I'm ready to eat. So look, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, y'all babies, stay cute and take care. And honey, just stay hungry. Bye.
Simply Food by TY.